This is the Power Element Podcast, episode 21. I'm producer Paul. Let's get right to it. All right, today our special guest is Ron Hill from Hill Crane. Ron has an impactful message. He has a great leadership style. Raul and Ron get into a powerful conversation. You're going to enjoy this episode. First, our promotional partners. First up, Jelco. Jelco has been getting it right since 1892. Everything from utility, arborist, tower, and windmill products can be found at Jelco Safety on Instagram. Next up, a working athlete. Check out their latest product, Rescue Hydration. It's an intensive rehydration formula. Use promo code POWERELEMENT at checkout to save yourself 20% off. You can find them at Working Athlete. Klein Tools. You need to check out the new 16477 grip. This grip was highlighted on the bonus episode that was previously recorded. All you gotta do is just go back one episode, you'll see it. It's with sales rep Megan Berry. She does a great job highlighting this product, as well as the full bucket work center. Good stuff. You can find them at Klein_tools. All right, here we go. Co Eyewear for all your ANSI Z87 needs. Me personally, the A-Face style all day. Use promo code POWERELEMENT to save yourself 15% off at checkout. You can find them at Co Eyewear. Last one, here we go. Buckingham Manufacturing. Check out the new Buck Pack Pro bag with Gear Garage. Part number 4378. Good, spacious, nice looking Buck Pack. You can find them at Buckingham_MFG. All right, thank you to our rodeo partners at Area at Work, at Dragonware_FR, and of course, at Hill Crane. Appreciate you guys. All right, I want to thank Daniel Sanchez. This music you hear right now is from Daniel Sanchez, son of journeyman lineman Easy Sanchez. Daniel's super talented guy. I appreciate you, Daniel. I'll put his info in the show notes. All right, special thank you to Lyman Mama and High Voltage Commando. Thank you guys for all your support. All right, last but not least, I want to thank the entire Sturgeon Electric California workforce. Without you, this podcast would not be possible. All right, it's go time. Let's go to the show. Ron Hill, episode 21, the Power Element Podcast. Enjoy the show.
What's happening, Paul?
What's up, host? Host with the most. He's back.
I don't know. You've done a fairly well job.
I missed my producer seat, though.
You're doing great, buddy. Great episode with Steve. Appreciate you.
Yeah, Steve did great. Thank you, though. Appreciate the feedback. A lot of people hitting up Steve, too, coming out of the woodwork.
It's a good listen, guys. Check it out. If you haven't checked it out, episode 20 with Steve Leckvolt. Very unique guy. Very gifted and talented. What do you think?
Probably one of the most competitive guys you can ever meet. Still at 62, Steve has never lost the edge, won't lose the edge, wants to compete, fierce. Mm-hmm. Is all about that fierce routine. I love it. So I'm learning a lot from him. I'm thankful I get to spend some time with him. Excuse me.
Yeah, like you said, you guys were having a conversation. I thought it was interesting. Like you said, he's super just unique gift of just a highly competitive spirit and nature, right? And I don't know if you recall a question you asked him about being born leaders. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was an interesting, I kind of felt your vibe there for a little bit. And I wanted to touch on that, being naturally gifted, as I think that's where you were going with it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Am I right?
No, yeah, absolutely. And for me, it was like Steve, is he always been a leader or the competitive edge? I think that's kind of almost one and the same kind of question, but I want to hear your take on it. So.
Well, there's a lot of takes on it. Even Megan I want to mention Megan with Klein Tools as well with the bonus episode. What's going on with the bonus episode, man? Where'd you come up with that? I thought that was pretty interesting.
Right. I just want more. And there's a lot of vendors, a lot of people who assist what we do day to day. We're going to talk about our guest here coming up. But there's a lot of key players. We have to realize that this industry is huge. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of people contributing to the success and keeping that power on. And I want to do that more often. It may not fit that leadership mold, but there's a lot of value in there as far as just their journey, their path. There's some talented people that work around us, with us, and collectively we get this thing going, man. So I want to do more often. You're busy, which is good, and hopefully you give me a way to step up, next man up mentality, and bring some more to the table, bring some value to our listeners.
You did a hell of a job.
Thanks, brother.
I mean, you do it all, buddy. Producer, videography,
note taking, camera guy,
comedian, marketing, does it all. But no, Megan, she has another unique gift or natural ability. And I picked up on it. I mean, talented in what she does for Klein Tools. Shout out to Klein Tools for all the support they give us. But she said something that she asks earnest questions and she remains humble. And I think when I listened to that podcast with you and her, I mean, you can just see that she uses the just her being humble as an aspect for her, or an attribute to gain more clients and to understand our work. She's never really done the work, but you can tell she asks questions so that she does understand it, which I think gains respect. And I think it's a little bit difficult at times too when you haven't done the work, that you have to do what you can to gain that respect from others, especially when you're trying to sell the product. And she does a great job. Thank you, Megan, with Klein Tools. So I want to talk a little bit about that, if we could, before we introduce our next guest, which I'm really excited to introduce here. But before, I want to get into this this thought process of having a unique gift in people. And as leaders, and I think my guests will agree with me, and I think you will too, Paul, that we have to tap into those unique gifts with our people. I think once you do that, I think we can truly capture the true potential that our folks have. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about that. And I want to reference a book this morning on today's show. It's The Power of One More by Ed Milet. And I'll talk about this book a little further as we get going as a recommendation. But I want to jump into chapter 15 on defining leadership. So back to your thought, Paul, about being naturally gifted or born leader. I think we're born with unique gifts, and I think that's where we're going with this morning. So every person is born with individual talents and geniuses. In this book, they call it unique gifts. Some of these you're born with, and some of these you develop. As a leader, if you identify these unique gifts in people, you can lead them in a way nobody else can. You separate yourself as a leader when you're able to do this. And here are some of the gifts that are naturally, I think, people are born with. Not easy to do, but you got to work on them too. These gifts can be humor, intellect, resiliency, faith, or kindness. Someone you lead could be blessed with mental toughness, honesty, ambition, creativity, generosity, loyalty, etc. The different kinds of unique gifts are limitless. This ability to identify these gifts and then link them to the dream you're selling is critical in your effort to lead people under you. So with that said, I think our next guest has a natural gift, and he's laughing. But when we were talking about this podcast, we talked about Ron Hill's natural gifts, and I think it's building relationships with his employees, with business colleagues like myself. He's sustained multiple running successful companies. Whether he's estimating, whether he's in sales, managing daily operations, and now co-owner of Hill Crane and CTC Traffic Control. So with that said, without further ado, I want to welcome Ron Hill. He's a father, a husband to his wife, Natalia. Shout out to Natalia. How you doing, good friend? And also a friend of mine. Welcome to the show, Mr. Ron Hill. Thank you.
Long-time friend.
How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. I'm good. How are you?
That was hell of an intro, right?
Right?
Probably a little bit long-winded,
man.
but
That was good. That's probably one of the best ones, I think.
I didn't know I was that good. I love you, man. Thank you.
Man. Super excited to have you here, buddy.
Yeah.
I've known you a long time.
Yeah, we have.
And when we're talking about, bringing on leaders and people that are in our business that, assist what we do on a daily basis, we were thinking about you all the time.
Thank you.
And I'm having a good conversation. So what do you think of the studio? I
great,
want to break the ice a little bit.
I love it. It's nice.
Give you an opportunity to comment
Yeah.
on Paul's decorations.
Yeah.
And what he does in here.
He's got it going on, man.
You know what? Someone
got it going on.
Someone in the building, they said, "Did you have someone decorate this?" I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, this is just a hodgepodge." Me and I'm a guy. Like, if there's lawn chairs, would it be in here? But anyways,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's all
You
good.
could have some more crane stuff in here. You know what I mean?
Well, why didn't you bring some?
Well,
A nice crane would be nice in here, right?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. Some
Well,
sponsorship on the wall
a
or something. You know what I'm
sponsorship.
saying?
Now we're talking,
Right?
Now we're talking about. Oh, thank you, by the way, before we get started on sponsoring our rodeos team's
Oh yeah.
jackets for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
international
Yeah.
rodeo coming up.
They
Appreciate
come
that.
out good.
I think they came out good.
They look good. I look good in mine.
Yeah.
They look real good.
That a boy.
No, thank you, Ron. All the guys like them.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it. Yeah.
You're
The other
welcome.
guys like to appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the format for this show, obviously, I appreciate you coming again, man. I know you took time out of your day, but
No,
we'd like to go back in history a little bit,
Sure.
you know,
Sure.
go way back and jump on that time machine and talk about you growing up. You could pick a spot that maybe you remember and, you know, when you're growing up, and I want to hear the business has been started, 1947?
Yeah, it was started in
So-
1947. My grandmother and my grandfather ran it until he was killed in the 50s. He was killed in a car crash, and my grandmother took it over and ran it with 4 kids to raise until I think in the late 80s when she finally passed away. And then my father took it over after she died and ran it until it was about 2017 when he handed it over to my brother and I. My brother and I have been running it ever since.
It's a long time business, man.
3rd generation.
Long
You don't
time.
see many companies going on that are 3rd
Yeah.
generation, even into the 4th. They're getting harder and harder to find.
So how does a family get into the crane business then? So way back when, how does that even? Was he an operator, or how did that come about?
So he ran cranes in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
He was in the Korean War, and he
Okay.
ran cranes in Saudi Arabia, and they came back to California, and he started it in Big Bear, Bear, California, with a backhoe and a small crane, I think it was, and moved it to Signal Hill
Okay.
in I think the late.
Why
40s.
Saudi Arabia? Was there? I mean, at that time,
He was in the
what was
service.
going around in the 40s? The Korean War, you said?
He was in the services. It was a Korean War, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just standing buildings up, standing.
No, it was doing something for the Army. I'm not really
Okay.
exactly sure what it was, but
Interesting.
yeah. So
Interesting. Okay.
he did that, and it's been in our blood ever since.
Mm-hmm.
13 years old, I was out there every summer, running around, chasing parts, painting spreader bars, greasing pennants, straightening slings and chokers, and just doing anything I could to get in. That's all I ever wanted to do, as long as I can remember.
So that was 13.
13
You were,
every summer.
man, you were 7th grade
Every summer.
every summer, just
Every
getting
summer.
it,
Every summer.
getting
Yeah.
out there.
Then when I got into college, 2 years where, you're doing all your general ed and all that stuff. And as soon as I could work my schedule around going at night and working there full time, I did it. And, I never really looked back. So
That's awesome, man.
yeah, it's good. It's good. But it's like anything, it's got its good and its bad. It's up and it's down,
Trying to think. I mean, so you were just a youngster. I mean, pretty much illegal to work, getting paid under the table. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're 13 years old. I mean,
I don't even know I got paid the first 2-3 years. I just did it because I
let's
was
talk
told to
about
do
that.
it.
Let's talk about that for a second, because I mean, I was the same way, right? I wasn't doing cool stuff like straightening out chokers.
It wasn't cool at the time.
Well, I don't know, man. I was leveling. We were talking about it the other day. We were out, and I was told to go level some ground because the dog's chain had made it all screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
And you would do that every day just for work.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a terrible example, I guess. But you were, I mean, the same kind of thing. You were kind of brought up in work early.
Oh,
work
yeah.
hard. I mean, was that something that your parents taught you and your dad?
Yeah, if you
Kind of raised you.
Yeah, if you weren't 15 minutes early, you're 15 minutes late, and I still look at that today. If there's no reason to be late, if
Yeah, you did. You got here about 20
I was
minutes
about
early.
half hour early, to be honest with you. I was here 10:30.
Oh yeah. So I mean, that was kind of the same thing. And your brother? How old's your brother?
I'm gonna be 40. I'm gonna be 45 in September, and Chris is 44.
Yeah. So you guys are real close in age. Just
yeah.
like me and
I
my
think
brother.
we're 18 months or something. I think.
So was he 11 years old? Working
No,
with you guys?
he came after me. I mean, when I was 13, and then as
Yeah.
the year or two after that, then he started doing his thing out there too. And we both went through it.
Yeah.
It was fun. I learned to weld. I learned to run a crane. I learned to drive truck.
Who's teaching you? Sorry.
Yeah, nope. Jump in there.
My
bud.
dad, mechanics, operators and others that have been with us for a long time. Yeah.
How big was the company at that point? You think? How many cranes do you think you had? Can you recall? I mean, I want to get to kind of transitioning from Because you guys are fairly large now, obviously.
I think at that time there might have been 12 or
13.
12 or 14 cranes, I think.
You guys were all operating out of one shop?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just doing like what?
Same
Kinda
thing.
Southern California jobs, just
Yeah, all
fitting
local,
work,
local stuff, steel erection and stuff like
was
that.
it always union?
I believe it was in the 50s is when we became
Transitioning.
signatory. Yeah.
Became signatory.
Yeah, I think. I'm not sure the exact date, but as long as
Interesting.
I can remember, it's always
As long as
been,
you can remember.
always been union. Yeah.
So what were some of those jobs you were on? Can you remember any ones that stuck out?
That I did?
Yeah, like when you were young, like was jobs you were like any heavy lifts or big jobs that you were just like, man, this is.
Yeah,
Because as a kid growing up, man, like, Tonka trucks and cranes is kind of our thing, right? I mean, in our era, now it's phones and iPads, but I mean, we're growing up, we're out there in the dirt.
oh yeah, we were.
You had real life toys, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. I mean, anything was cool. I mean,
Yeah.
Picking up anything, running cranes and putting cranes together and walking cranes with all the boom in them and stuff like that. That was something that you just couldn't keep us away from. You couldn't keep me away from. It's all.
At that age, did you have a knack for anything? Was there anything like you were drawn to more than?
Well, I always wanted to be an operator. I wanted to be an operator, and I wanted oil on an 8460, which is a 165-ton crane.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, because that's where he started. He was in the yard. He started on the crane. Then he came up, became a dispatcher, and then a sales guy, and then ultimately running it.
Wow.
He had a different path from my brother and I. He told us that if we wanted to work at the business, we had to go to college, get a degree, start off that way. So,
You think he was serious?
oh, he was, because I wouldn't. That didn't happen. I never ran a crane after I got out of when I was in high school or got into college or any of that. It was go to college and get a degree and start working in the office and start learning how to run the business. So
Do you think
he
there
didn't
was,
have to hang.
Do you think there was a kind of a reason for that? Like, why would he? You would think he would want to have you follow in his footsteps.
Well,
Run the crane, but it sounds like he wanted you to go to college.
yeah. I mean, at the time, he had been involved in a couple. And the industry was going through a real rough time where accidents were pretty prevalent, and he had been involved in one or two of them, and he didn't really want his sons getting exposed to stuff like that. And I think he had, now that I think about it, I think he had a succession plan already in his head where he knew what day he was going to, or when he got to a certain age, when he was going to start looking to exit. And he didn't want us to go through what he did when his mother died, because when she died, he was still on a crane. So he had to come in the office and learn everything there was to run in the office,
all the business stuff
within a month or two, So it was real hard on him and everybody else involved. And I think that ultimately he thought that was a better path for us, which, I took it, I mean, I'm in it. I think I'm better for it. Do I wish I would have experienced more of the field work? Yeah, you bet. Mm-hmm. You bet.
But so would you change anything?
No.
Would you go back and?
No, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
No.
I kind of felt like he set you up, the company up,
He did.
brothers up.
He did.
In a way that was completely opposite of what he did.
He did. I'm forever grateful for him.
Yeah.
Everything I am today is because of what he's done for me. So,
I couldn't agree with you more, man. Every time I talk about ethic and hard work, I always go back to where I came from and my pops and getting me up early, arriving on time, working hard, and people will notice that you work hard, and that you care about what you do, and you do it right the first time too. That was a whole nother thing.
And treat people right.
And
be honest with them.
Yeah.
And have some integrity. And if you're going to tell them you're going to do something, then do it.
Yeah.
Even if it means it's going to cost you something, do it.
So when you were going to school and working, were you playing any sports? We like to ask that question about sports. We kind of feel like there's
No.
No.
I wanted to play football. That he didn't want.
You're way too small for football.
I bet you the coaches were hitting you up though, right?
They were calling the house. They were calling the house trying to talk him into it, and Pops wasn't having it. He didn't want me getting hurt. And that part I would change. I wish I would have played some football. I wish I would have played more sports. I played a little baseball, but never really hung.
Well, since we're on this kind of legacy conversation here with your dad, your old man, and your son, right? How old's your boy?
Jackson's 11.
So what's Jackson doing?
He doesn't know yet. He doesn't know. He doesn't know if he wants to get in the crane business or not.
Yeah.
My older daughters, Taryn's 15 and Jordan's 13. They're starting to talk about it more.
Are they?
Yeah. Taryn she's a sophomore at Modern Day now, and she's starting to talk about it a little bit more now than she ever has, and so is Jordan.
Nice.
So, But I don't know. I don't know.
Jackson's 11. He's still having fun.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
He's little.
He doesn't know what he wants to do yet. Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm sure you're sitting at the dinner table telling him, hey, 12, 13 years old, I was straightening slings and driving trucks by then.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
It was a good childhood. I loved it. I loved it.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Can
Taught me a lot.
I stay with that role?
You want? Yeah.
And
Stay there for a little bit.
when coming up with your dad or maybe your grandfather before he passed, was there any values of the company? Was there any core principles maybe that they leaned on? That I kind of want to talk about those. Then we'll get into how the company is now. But was there anything that you remember that they stuck by?
Just being honest with people, and relating to people at a level that you can relate to them on, and integrity, those are what really stand out to me, and that I try to portray now. Just be honest with people, be upfront with them, and if you go to the mat for them, they'll go to the mat for you, and if they don't, then you know what, you live and learn. And it's hard sometimes. Sometimes you get jaded about it. Sometimes you go to the mat for people and you help them out through things, and they turn around and they leave you. They just leave you high and dry sometimes.
But that doesn't change who you are.
No, but I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I struggle. Sometimes I struggle with just, like I said, being jaded to the whole thing. It's like, how many times you want to turn around and
we
get
started
tattooed. Just get punched in the face sometimes. It's just.
Was that the conversation though? Was he said, son, you got to have integrity. You got to build relationships. Because I almost feel like, for me, I remember my dad saying, like, you got to work hard. Like, work hard. This is what you have to offer. What was that conversation like that? Or was it more like just leaning, just being a fly on the wall and hearing the way they approached and talked to people and customers and employees?
So that's a great point, right? There was really no sit down at the table and have a conversation like this is how you need to be a man or anything like that. It was I followed him around for months and years, job walking jobs and watching him interact with his customers and how he treated them and how he treated his employees and whatnot. So I kind of tried to emulate what he did, because it got him far. It was a lot of the relationships he had with his customers for years, decades, like us. We've always been straight up and honest with each other, and I think that's gotten us to where we are, and I think it'll continue to take us even further.
Yeah.
Which nowadays I think is a lost art. I really do. I think that is getting harder to find, where people will honor their word and do things for you and help you out, even though they may not expect help back. But if the relationship is right, they're going to give it back to them, and they don't even know it's coming.
I think that's a good question, Paul, because I don't know, like, even when we were young and we're growing up in a household environment, like, we're not getting the direct conversation of this is how you need to be. We watch the actions, and people sometimes that are like my parents, my family, they did it so natural that they don't even know they're doing it, right? The humility, the honesty, the integrity, everything you mentioned, the hard work, like, it was just a natural way of growing up, and it's always like you said, now you try to bring those values into your business. And I think that's the question you were going to is, and I don't know if you touched on it, you want to touch on it more, but did you bring any of that with you now, I guess, is, bringing up those core values into the company now? Is that something that you try to give your employees?
I like to believe I am.
Yeah.
I like to believe I am 100%,
Yeah.
Because I feel that's what makes me, what defines me as a person and as a businessman and as a friend,
Yeah.
And I think it's hard. I think it's hard to sit down there and try to teach someone to do that. If they don't have that built in them, if they don't have that ingrained in them to treat people like that, I don't really know that you can teach someone to do that. I think they have to be willing to do it. They have to see it done, and they have to initiate it. They have to want to do it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird
question.
that we hear this talk and we hear the way we were brought up. The majority of us, that relationships and communication was the key, unbeknownst to us. Like, we're just on that coattail, because I can remember vividly how you're talking about, just like with my dad, just hearing how they talk and not really knowing the name of what you were learning, but just going through the motions. And then now, sorry if I skipped around, but I see the importance at your level, Raul's level, of how important that relationship is, having those relationships. But then on the same breath, Ron, you state that it's a lost art, and which I think it is, and we're coming back to it. But it's funny how that fundamental value just kind of weaseled out there, you know.
It did. It feels like over time that's not important anymore.
Yeah.
And to me, my employees are everything. That company is nothing without the people that work for me.
Couldn't agree more.
And relating to those people and being there for those people when they need you, that's what is going to make you successful. And like I said, you're going to have one or two that think the grass is greener and they're going to jump and they're going to do this and that, and those are just things you have to deal with. But don't let it change who you are. Don't let it change who you are. As bad as you want to get down on it and let it consume you. Just don't let it change who you are.
You touched on a couple thoughts there. I think Paul's jumping ahead a little bit, but
I get excited, man.
We'll let him do that.
I'll go easy on the Jocko go. Slow down.
No, you mentioned a comment there, and you're going down a path. I want to make sure you get it out. Is you're talking about dealing with employees that maybe kind of burn you? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
And you were kind of saying, you get jaded or you get tattooed with some disappointment, I would say.
Yeah.
And how do you recover from that? Is there a certain way that you recover from that? Because I know at the end of the day, you still have a business to run. You still got to either replace that employee or you can't show that it affects you. I know that. So how do you?
Well, that's something I still struggle with is how to let it affect you, but not let it affect you. Mm-hmm. Let it be on the front of your mind and learn from it and try to realize, if there's something you did that contributed to it, and if there wasn't, well then chalk it up, and grab another belt loop and just look to replace it and move on with it because there are other people that depend on you. There's bigger things at stake and sometimes you just have to get after it, like I said, just grab another belt loop and get after it.
I like what you said there and how you got to look within yourself first and have the ownership and say, is there something that I could have done different?
I struggle with that a lot
to prevent this from happening.
I don't mean to cut you off, but
no, go for it.
I've never worked anywhere else.
Yeah.
I've never worked anywhere else. So I have zero perspective on what it's like to work, at a large corporation like yours or another crane company or anywhere. I only have what's been ingrained in me for 45 years and the way that we think is right, which is not always right. Sometimes it's probably wrong all the time. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But trying to have that open mind and pull from people what can change and what should change and how to change it. That's something that has always interested me because I've never, I'm always cognizant that I've never worked anywhere else and I don't really know what's right and what doesn't work. And all I know is the way it is here. And
I like
that necessarily isn't always right.
No, I like that. You kind of go through two steps there. You said, you take the ownership in it, like I was saying, and to see if there's something you could do different. But then you make a conscious effort to move forward and grab it and go and move on, put it behind you because you do have a business to run. You do have people that look up to you. You do have, you can't let it affect you because then it'll start affecting other decisions, right? If you weigh on it. It's not, I think that's a really good point, man. When you talk about, getting through things and, you have multiple employees. And I talked about at the beginning of the podcast was, the natural ability to build relationships. And you started going down that road about building relationships. I wanted to stay here on this topic because building relationships, in my opinion, is probably, it's easy to say, but hard to do because we're dealing with so many different personalities, right? There's so many different personalities. How do you, in your position right now, currently build relationships with your people? What are some of the tactics you use to gain the buy-in? You got to
be doing. You got to be genuine, and you got to be upfront, and you got to be honest. I think that's what's gotten me where I am with a lot of my relationships is just being honest with them, even when it means telling them something they don't want to hear.
Yeah,
being genuine and trying to do right by them, as best you can. You can't do everything all the time. That's just not the way there is to it. I think doing that and projecting that, people will see that. At least that's what my experience with it with. All the clients that I've dealt with over the years is that's the relationship I have with them. They call me, they're going to get the straight answer. They're not going to get BS'd. They're going to get told how it is. And I'm going to tell them if it's something we can do, we can do. If it's not, it's not. And let the chips fall where they may. I think that.
Isn't it navigating like, isn't navigating through business, whether it's an employee, whether it's a decision, whether it's maybe an adversity, isn't it so much easier when you have a relationship with that person? Just to pick up the phone call.
You bet.
Or pick up the phone, I should say, make a phone call.
You bet.
Right?
You bet. You bet. That
even with your brother as co-owner, right? You guys are co-owners.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have a relationship to where you can just pick up the phone and be like, we got to hash this out.
Yeah. I mean, it's like any family, you know. I mean, what's the saying? You never fight worse than your family, but you never love more than your family. You know. I mean, it's.
I thought it was fire your brother, the rest come easy.
No.
Just kidding.
But I mean, it's all got its good and its bad. You know. I mean, like you said, I know they're there. You know, your family will always be there for you when you need them.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So don't ever take that for granted. Don't ever take that. Don't ever take that for granted.
Was there anybody when you were, growing up, and we'll go through some of your different titles there at the company, but was there anybody that stood out as a mentor for you? I mean, obviously your dad. Is there anybody besides your dad that you mentioned that you could mention that you looked up to building relationships, or maybe being a leader?
No, really, just my dad. I mean, that's all I really wanted to be like was my dad.
Yeah,
I know it might sound corny to say that, but he was my hero. He was my hero, and he's my best friend.
Yeah,
my best friend.
When's the last trip you and your dad did?
July. He's in Colorado for the summer, he went up there in February, so I went up there for 2 weeks and hung out with him.
Nice.
Yeah, he came home this weekend. He's got some skin cancer.
He's living there now, right?
He lives there 8 months out of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, he comes home for winter. I wish he'd just stay there for the winter, but he's I don't know. He doesn't like the cold.
That's the cold time.
That's the best time of year, man. What are you talking about?
Oh,
come on, dude. No.
Paul, are you going to Colorado in the winter?
No, I say a tattoo. I got palm trees, baby. Tropical.
What's wrong with you guys?
We're tropical people over here, man.
See this tan? my wardrobe's fall or summer.
Yeah. So you got out of college. Let's circle back a little bit here. You got out of college. What was your first job at Hill Crane? What did your dad put you in charge of?
One of the big utilities. I handled one of the big utilities.
One of the big accounts?
Yeah, one of our biggest accounts, yeah.
Nice.
I did that for probably 10 years, 10, 15 years, on call 24 hours a day, handled emergencies, dealing storm. Mm-hmm. That's where I made a lot of my connections with other guys in the line contractors. Yeah, electrical contractors. That's where I met you. You know.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's where I started, and then
what were some of your duties? So, I mean, just running the daily operations. Were you doing sales? Were you doing estimate? What were you doing?
That time it was handling that account, which was a lot of our revenue at the time. Mm-hmm. Dealing with whatever other accounts I could bring to the table, but most of it was handling that account. I think I went through 6 or 7 bid cycles with it. Successful every time. Yeah. And then that was full time in itself. That was definitely full time.
What were some of the things you think that Hill Crane brought to the table versus other competitors? I'll say
service.
Yeah,
service. Answering the phone, being there.
I will say, man, and no matter what time of day or night it was, and I called you.
Yep.
That phone was answered.
Yep, and if it wasn't my cell phone, you had the house number. Only a few people have that house number, buddy.
The bat phone.
I
got the bat phone.
He does.
Well, we were running one of the large areas at the time, and it was, crazy amount of work.
Yep.
Even now,
yeah,
I would say it's probably comparable.
Yeah.
About the same amount of work, if not more.
Yeah.
During that time when we started doing business together. Yeah. Which is cool.
So that was cool. I learned a lot. About, what you guys doing all that, and made a lot of connections, and then did that for 10 or 15 years, and then started handing some of that stuff off to newer guys that were coming up. Mm-hmm. And then I went on to handling different and larger accounts, and really focused on bringing new business to the company. Started focusing in on refineries and stuff, and bringing some of that work
Very specific type work.
Yep, yeah. Doing turnarounds and stuff like that. So I was really successful in that, and that was something that the business had never done, and it's all of its existence was.
Is that something you think you brought to the table?
It was, yeah.
You went out and got that work then.
I did.
What's your old man say? You did something that he didn't.
He was. Yeah, he said some of the things he's never said to me before. Then
Yeah.
My grandmother would be proud of me. My grandfather would be proud of me. And
so basically, it was word of mouth before that. It was just and then you kind of set that marketing, if you will, that door-to-door salesman type.
Yeah, I just when I focused in on some of the refineries and whatnot, I just started building those relationships and making those connections with them, and I mean, I was a nobody at the time. There was a lot of big companies in there doing work for them, and I won them over, much as I did you.
Did you approach those those accounts, those refineries, those different industry? Because obviously your bread and butter was utility, the line work side. Did you take that working knowledge of getting the job done right to those industries as well?
Oh, sure. Yeah. That being accountable when you need to be accountable for them and being there when you need them and building trust with them.
Yeah.
That was big.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. Trust is
huge, and you can't break it. You can't break it.
Huge.
It's I know people say forgive and forget, but sometimes, at least I'm of the opinion, if you break trust, that's almost sometimes a deal breaker. I mean, how do you ever build back from it? It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And once you have it, I mean, there's just so much speed in trust too.
You gotta cherish it, man.
You can get things done so quickly. Especially within your organization,
Yeah.
At different levels and layers of your organization, that if that trust just keeps going down, I mean, you can be so more efficient when you have that trust within your organization. But it's easy to say, it's hard to do because you got to build it.
Yep.
Right. You got to let people, you got to give them a little bit of, slack. You got to let them fail a little bit,
I think you
learn a little bit. And then once they learn those lessons on some of maybe the smaller jobs or some of the, maybe not so critical steps in your procedures or businesses, man, they're going to be successful when it matters.
Yeah,
right?
and I think you need to go through some of those bad times. I think you need to experience that with people and clients or whatnot, to where you have your highs, you win on a job, you do a good job, and then you have some that you're not successful on for whatever reason. You own up to it and you deal with it and then you move on, and doing that, establishes that baseline of trust, and you just build on top of it. And it'll make you a better person, I think.
Absolutely. Man. Whew.
Sound clip.
Sound clip.
I record that?
I know. I seen him. We just wrote down his times. He's writing his times. He's got a whole list of time frames there.
Oh, yeah.
Tell.
You guys got me busy.
So now you're moving through the ranks, which is cool. You got a big account here. What happened? Was there any time frame there that you and your dad were, maybe he was training you and you guys were, or was he... where he was kind of trying to let go, but he's still there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's been mentoring me and training me my whole life, even for stuff that's not even in the business, just how to be a father and a friend and a brother and a son and just everything. In 2015, he started 3 days a week, half a day here, half a day there, gradually starting to give my brother and I more leash and seeing what we could do with it. And then...
did you ever have to tell him, I got this?
Yeah.
Did you ever have to say, okay?
I would tell him I got this, and he'd go, you're full of shit. I mean, he's old school, some of my harshest criticism that I've ever experienced came from him, which makes the praise even better. But yeah, there was a lot of me wanting to show him that we could, and I think there was a lot of him wanting us to do it, but having a real hard time letting go, being that how he came up through it and how he took it over.
Do you remember the day was his last day there? Did he?
I remember
hand you the keys, or was there some sort of?
I remember two things. That really stick out in my head. I was 16, and I forget where we were driving from. We were in his '89 Ford Bronco. I was on the front seat, and my brother was in the back seat.
Hold on. Let's go back. You just skipped over humbly there, a little humble brag of a '89 Bronco.
Yep, That was my first car. It was used. It had 80,000 miles on it. He gave it to me. All I had to do was work in the summer and pay for my insurance and pay for gas.
Nice
deal. He gave me the car. I said, "Yeah, cool. What do you pay me an hour?" Nothing. But yeah, my brother and I were in the car, and I think it was early '90s, maybe '92, '93 or something like that. And he goes, "Hey, I'm going to ask you guys right now. Do you guys want to be in this business someday? Because if you don't, I'm not going to be around. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm not going to go continue to beat my head against the wall. And, because our business is tough. It's like anybody else's. Construction's tough. It's got its ups and its downs. And when it's angry, it's angry. When it's happy, it's happy. And he asked my brother and I, do you want it? 16. Hell yeah, Dad. Let's go, man. Sign me up,
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
So I'll never forget that day. And I'll never forget the day that he cleaned out his office and my brother moved his stuff in his office and he left. And I went in my office and shut the door and cried like a little girl because I felt like, my best friend, my mentor was gone and showing up and not seeing a fixture there that I'd seen my whole life was gone. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. But he's always there. Pick up the phone.
Did he give you guys any advice? Was there any last advice or
no?
Like you could print on the wall or
Don't fuck this
no,
up.
baby.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
hey, his dad's pretty cool like that. I wouldn't be surprised.
Or make sure you send me my check next month, kind of thing, or something like that. Yeah, that's probably what I got.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah. But it was real emotional for me because, I'd grown to lean on him so much for everything, and then to not have him there, even though I knew he was there, but not see it. It was tough. It was tough.
I bet
it was tough.
I can't even imagine that, man. That conversation with him. It's just, it kind of gave me the chills, and then he
you
walks
know him.
out.
You know him. You know him. Yeah.
No, dude. I mean, the guy. I liked playing golf with him.
Mm-hmm.
Had dinner with him. I miss having the lunches. Occasionally to see him when he was around. Hopefully he catches this podcast. Hopefully
I'm gonna make him listen
to it. Sitting here talking about him, but no, I think that's really cool, man. I think your relationship with him is second to none. As far as I look up to it. I think a lot of guys listening to this podcast or look up to it. Man, having a good relationship with your dad is critical. And I could say I had a good relationship with my dad. To this day, I could same thing. If I pick up the phone, I just seen him yesterday.
Yeah.
I could pick up the phone and he will answer the phone and what do you need, son?
Yeah.
And I try to do that as well. With friends or family or employees, try to always be there for people. And I think that's some of the things that I've learned.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how we take on these qualities without even really knowing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like just seeing our pops in action or seeing our family in action.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
Which carries a lot that, how we interact with our children and our wives and our kids, and how we interact with our own employees too. I think it's got a trickle effect completely.
Agreed.
Yeah. Did you want to ask another question about that? Because I know there was some father questions, or I'll make sure I don't want to skip over anything, Paul, because
right. Thank you.
That was a good topic.
You're talking a lot about your dad, but was there anything that you take from your mom that has helped you in business, or is anything you want to give credit to your mom?
Oh, thank you. That's a good question. I knew you had one.
Other than the fact that she held the entire family together for 35 years or 40 years, yeah.
As moms do.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, nobody's nothing without their mom. I ain't nothing without my wife. It's
so you guys are heavy in the crane business. You guys are all doing. What's a normal dinner for you guys? What's mom doing? You guys are all working together. Your brother's doing sales. You're the operations manager. Your dad's running it.
Yeah.
And it's dinner time. What's going on at dinner table?
Probably not trying to talk about business.
I kind of figured that.
Key,
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the time all that was going on, I think we were all moved out by then,
You guys got together?
We got together. We talk a little bit about it, but for the most part, try not to.
Talk about family.
Yeah, try not to. Just
Planning a trip,
whatever's
maybe.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah, talking about the grandkids.
Yeah, wives being pregnant and stuff like that.
Yeah. Awesome.
It was cool.
Yeah, my mom, she was a humble person. She taught me how to be show grace too to people.
Sure.
Right? How, I think as leaders we got to learn that quality.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not going to be perfect as leaders. Our people are definitely not going to be perfect. You got to be able to show grace when it's time is necessary for that.
Yep.
And I think you kind of build those relationships that way too. There's been multiple times I can look at a guy and either it's written warning or time off, and I'm sure you deal with this too, or even being terminated, right? Where you have to kind of go through those levels of disciplinary action, which is tough to do as a leader.
Yep.
As a manager, it's probably one of the toughest things I got to do. But when you do that, there's a little bit of a respect that's formed there, right? Or appreciation for each other, right? Especially if you talk through things. And I think grace comes out a lot of that, And I think my mom taught me that as well. Paul, what about you? Anything that you can think of that your mom taught you?
Same thing. I mean, I was a knucklehead, ego
Yeah.
as a kid. So now more, it's something I work at, being a son still. To reach out to my mom and talk to her and call her. I'm terrible at it. I need to do a better job at it. But I look back at, she was just patient, and like I said, that grace, that yin to the yang, if you will, as far as just not being a total knucklehead, and really giving you that grounded fundamentals of what it takes to be a man. So.
Yeah, absolutely. How to treat women too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge one too.
Absolutely.
I mean, my dad did the same thing, but my mom, you could see the proper way to treat a lady, right?
How much of that carries into your relationship with Tish now too, now with the kid at home?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, you definitely want to emulate to her how you're supposed to treat a woman. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and hopefully she'll find somebody the same way, right?
You're gonna be the judge. You're gonna be the bar, right? Yeah.
And she's 12 years old, man.
I know. It's crazy.
Going on 16.
Oh, you said you had a little guy come over.
No, we're not talking about that story. Yeah, this little knucklehead tried to come over to our house. This is even before school started. I'm like, who is this kid?
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Got the same thing going on down there.
She's a great kid, man. She's smart. I don't know. You know, Maddie. She's an awesome kid. Her mom has done well with her for sure.
I'm not ready for any of that.
So, yeah. Both of us can cry on each other's shoulders during that time frame, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
That's what we'll be calling each other.
Oh, yeah.
Having daughters. I want to talk about now you're the boss.
Yeah.
Now you're the owner of Hill Crane and CTC Traffic Control. We didn't mention that, but
my brother and I. Yep.
How does it feel now? Is there? It's got to be a chance. I mean, we and Paul were talking. You see company logos on the truck all the time. We actually add our foreman's names to the trucks to show some ownership, right? To show a little, hey, this is your equipment. Take care of it, But you have your name on your hat, on your shirt, on your cranes. I mean, I can't go down the freeway here locally in Southern California without seeing a Hill Crane. So, how does that feel as an owner? Having your name on the equipment.
I'll be honest with you. It's something that's ingrained in me, and it's something that I absolutely love. I love our business. I love the history involved in it. I love the generations it's gone through. I love the people that work for us. Mm-hmm. Most of the people there have been there 15 years or longer, and it's really tough to see now that a lot of them that have been there 25, 30 years, they're starting to retire. And I kind of feel like I'm losing part of myself. I've had 2 or 3 really long-term guys that have recently left and retired, and it's tough. I'm taking one to dinner in 2 weeks to celebrate his retirement, just him and I and the wives. And I've known him since I was 18 years old. Wow. Done a lot of stuff together, did a lot of good jobs together, went through a lot of bad jobs together, went through a lot of good times and bad times. And that's tough, but I love it. I love the business. I love who we are. I love what we've built. I love what we're continuing to build. I love the generational thing. I hope that my brother's kids and my kids can continue on and build it. I think the odds are stacked against them. I think companies, as you get into the 3rd and 4th generation, I think it's, I've read lots of studies where they just start dying off. They just can't support families of that size or whatnot. So I'm hopeful that ours will continue to grow and flourish and make my grandparents proud.
So, I appreciate that what you said, because there's a couple of things that we talked about Hill Crane, and we continue to talk about it today. There's a couple of good things with you. I mean, I think Hill Crane has a high standard that you've set, that your dad has put into place. And, obviously kudos to your dad, starting the business and building it what it is now, and, where you guys are currently, of you running it and you being the owner. But I also think there's also employee retention, like you just mentioned. And our industries me and Paul are talking, and, our industries are very unique. All of our guys have choices, right? I mean, We're in Southern California. These guys all have choices, and they're talented workforce. They're talented men, craftsmen, tradesmen, as you will, that they can work anywhere. And I think we have to be innovative in the sense on how do we retain those good employees for 20, 30 years, right? And I got an idea, but I want to hear your thoughts. Like, what do you do to retain those employees? Because I know you have a lot that stay with you, and they travel different jobs.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we have one that's coming up on 25 years.
Gee.
And you just got to. I think the key to it is being there for them, relating to them, showing them that you care. They need help. Give them help. Take care of them because they are the core of what is your business. They are what has gotten you to where you are and what continue to get you to where you want to go. Yeah. It's tough because the workforce nowadays is pretty slim. I mean, if you don't have those quality employees working for you now, there's not many out there. They're already working for people that have had, that have them. So if a good employee is already working, it's real hard. It's hard to find good help right now, and makes the ones that you have more valuable.
Yeah, man. I could,
How do you think? What's your thoughts on it?
My thoughts on employee retention is obviously you got to give your employees, like you said, a good place to work, right? You got to show, but I think it comes from the values and it comes through leadership. I truly believe that. And, your ability to build relationships and communicate with your guys, whether good or bad, right? It can't always be good. And sometimes you got to know where this, the state of the company is, right? And maybe even just the state of the work picture, right? And sometimes you got to be truly honest. And I think if you give good guys, location is great. Obviously, we're in Southern California; the wages are great. So I think, everybody wants to work here. But even within this small territory, there's multiple options.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's standing calls for every company right now.
Yeah.
But I think if you can give the guys a good place to work, set some high standards, and I think everybody wants to be part of a championship company. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
I truly believe when they put on a Hill Crane hat or they're driving a Hill Crane truck and they're proud to work there, I think they're more likely to stay with you. And you got to treat them good, like you said.
Give them good equipment. Give them good tools.
Tools.
That's one thing that we're going through right now. We're making a big investment in the fleet and buying more cranes and new cranes and phasing out a lot of the old stuff.
Yeah.
Keep all that going. And give them someplace that they want to work, someplace that they want to cranes they want to run.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big help to it.
And watching people and grow in their and their capabilities is another good thing. Promoting within. People see promoting within. They're like, wow, they're bringing people within.
Sure.
And making them next, supervisors or superintendents or whatever. I think it's a really good value as well.
And finding those that want to come up and lead in those positions. You know what I mean? Finding people that want to take that next step. Because a lot of guys don't want. A lot of guys, like you said, the wages are so good here. A lot of guys are complacent. A lot of guys don't really necessarily want to take that next step because they're happy doing what they're doing now.
Which is okay.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah, that's okay too. There's a lot of guys that we constantly, Paul, we're talking about next leader, next man up, and a lot of guys are, I'm fine with just being a lineman. It's the best job out here, and I'm that's great. But there's things in the industry that we're losing. A lot of guys are retiring, like you just said.
The industry needs help.
We need young guys to step up, take that next level.
Yep.
Even though maybe it might be harder to do, and it's going to put you in uncomfortable situations, right? Like, something brand new like this podcast. Like, this podcast wasn't something I wanted to do. This guy next to me was beating me up over it, and I said, let's do it. Put me in an uncomfortable situation, and I find myself growing even more, right? Which, okay, fine.
I don't know that I've ever seen you uncomfortable in any situation. I think you just made that up.
No, how many, dude, the first time we did ads, how many times did we do ads?
It took a minute.
Did it take a minute?
It takes a hot
And
minute.
I'm talking reading ads. I mean, I'm just saying, like, when the record button goes on, it puts you in a weird situation, but I try to find the value in that situation to help me grow as a leader, right?
That's what
Not
makes you
for
good.
myself,
That's what makes you good, though.
for the people.
That's what makes you able to adapt to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
It speaks to a lot of what you are, man.
I appreciate it, but it's not about me, it's about you.
I got a question for you, quick one, Ron.
I think you just stepped over that joke. You could have laughed.
I was good. I'm sorry. What was the
Did
joke?
somebody tell you they
Was
love
it a
you?
joke?
I love you.
Ron, do you have I think we all kind of recognize that there's going to be a workforce shortage in construction in these blue collar industries. So with that being said, with those key players that you got, those 25, 20-year guys, is there a succession plan that you're like, hey, like, all right, man, I'm going to support you getting out. I want to support the time that you served the company, loyalty, integrity. Is there a succession plan where it's like, hey, man, let's change this a little bit. I want to put you in a spot where you're highlighted. I want you to give these values that you're leaving with and really, really hone into the rest of the workforce. Is there anything like that's kind of implemented?
Yeah, we're trying to do something. We're trying to put something together like that right now. It's a little tough because, things are so busy right now.
Sure.
So guys are spread super thin, and there's not a lot of supplemental workforce out there to allow those guys to free up time. It's something that we're looking at and we're really starting to address now because it is going to be a serious problem in another 6 or 7 years. I mean, I've got another handful of guys that are going to be, sunsetting on the way out, and replacing talent at that level is tough. It's really tough. I mean, you're talking guys with 30, 40 years experience that have done things that probably shouldn't be mentioned, but it's tough.
Right. And I think Raul's done a good job addressing it and really trying to highlight, like you said, there's those leaders that want to stay in the position where they're at, but say, hey man, like you got a good message, you got a good work experience. Like, let's make sure your experience gets out there. Like we're losing you, which is sad, but we want to keep that experience in the trade.
Yep.
Yeah. And safety and success, it's about influence. It is. It's finding the right person that can influence the organization
And motivate.
You're right, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Or another word is inspire, right? Inspiring somebody to motivate the other person to do the right thing or to work harder or whatever it may be for the success of the organization. And I think those guys are out there. Those guys are out there. They just, and they're already influencers now, like a lead lineman in the yard or a guy that doesn't want to take that foreman role or general foreman role or supervisor role. He's already influencing the yard. He doesn't even know it.
Yeah.
I mean, he does. I mean, you know what I mean? Like he's already doing those leadership roles, and he might not be filling out a timesheet, but I know there's some value in influencing. I think if guys understand that they're already doing the job.
Do you think it's gotten harder to keep motivation and keep morale up nowadays?
It's definitely harder in this, and I hate saying this new workforce because there's a lot of value in what we're doing today, right? There's a lot of innovative things. There's a lot of, I don't want to go back in time for sure.
Yeah.
But there is I don't want to say entitlement either, but there is some sort of entitlement that is out in our industry, I'll just say, that we got to get past. And a lot of it is that.
Yeah.
Is you have to motivate me to do my job. Like what's in it for me, right? Sometimes a paycheck isn't enough anymore, or learning isn't enough. You have what's the added? Is that what you're getting at? It's the added.
It's that, and like the whole COVID thing. When everybody worked remotely, it was great in the meantime. But getting people back in the office, getting them back is a struggle. And I'm a firm believer that is super important to have everybody there and everybody around each other. You're walking down the hall, you can see a guy, you can see the look on his face and know he needs help. You can't get that if guys are sitting at home and they're just reporting in and they're sending orders in, or you're doing Teams meetings or something. You're going to lose that relationship. You're going to lose that camaraderie. You're going to lose that ability to see when someone needs help and just sense it. And that's something that I think I was always good at is being around the people, being around the guys, and knowing, hey, there's something wrong here. Let me ask them what's wrong. Can I help you with something? Not having that, is changed things. It's changed things a lot, and not for the good.
We're in line with that. I mean, I think we've lost a lot of consistency, camaraderie, during
team building,
the
whole thing, man.
I mean, even though it's called teams, sometimes it doesn't feel like a team. I mean, no one's around. It's you can't see expressions, right? I mean, as
just
well,
that energy too.
It's the energy, the vibe,
walking around and feeling it, and just knowing if someone's in a bad mood. Hey, what can I help you with?
I mean, what's the expression? Be where your feet are. I mean, there's a reason for that. Like, you're supposed to be present in the moment at that time with that person and to connect with that person. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good too to some of those Teams and Skype and Zoom, like instant meetings right away, right? There was things that even Paul mentioned in the last podcast, I believe, with Megan. We learned a lot as a company during that time.
Sure.
How to communicate better and to be more innovative in certain ways because we could not meet, which made us even better. But I do like getting everybody. It's like a yard. Yeah. I mean, we try to do Zoom meetings, safety meetings. I mean, it was a train wreck. And it's not like showing up at the yard with everybody at the yard, interacting with the hands, you know, and it was a tough time. It was definitely a tough time.
But you can never, I mean, sorry to cut you guys off, but as owners and directors, like you can't anticipate a problem that was going to be like that. And like you said, Ron, like you're going for those verbal communication cues, and that's part of your bread and butter. That's what's set Hill Crane apart, and what's something you've leaned on for the last 30, 40 years. And once you take those away, like you're almost in a scramble. Like how do now what? You know, and like Megan said, identified your blind spots. Okay, cool. Like we're gonna be ready for this next time, or whatever the case may be. Like we're ready. We're gonna be better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I get passionate and just crazy.
No, I think we're headed right down the road. I do want to make a point from our book here, just to drive a little bit more thought and conversation about building a setting higher standards. So you said what's this new workforce, and I think with this new workforce we have to constantly do more than just the minimum. I don't know if you agree with this, but
I do.
It's like setting those standards even higher than what the expectations are. And in our industry, like we have a naturalization of guys just drifting from what's expected, and you end up kind of somewhere, sometimes below standard in some cases, right? So when we're setting higher standards, I wanted to read something and get your thoughts on how you set high standards at Hill Crane. I'll give you an opportunity to think about that question. So back to our book here, The Power of One More by Ed Milet. In business, an organization without high standards is an organization that is out of control. It's an organization not performing at peak capacity. As competitive as business is, that's a recipe for failure. In your business, can every employee tell you what the organization goals are and what the standards are to achieve those business goals? And just as important, can they live up to them? The greatest companies and the dynastic sports teams always set the highest standards. And it goes on and on about examples here.
Sure.
But I think more than anything, I mean, with Hill Crane, with heavy rigging that you do, with power line trade work, power line work, high voltage work, like we are constantly asking our guys to set the standards high, right? And this new workforce seems like if you try to have them do a little bit more than what's expected of them, there's a kind of a pushback, unless you can get to the influencers and you kind of control the environment there a little bit better. But so what do you do? What are some of the things you do to keep the standards high at your company?
Well, I agree with you 100%. I think getting the newer workforce to work at a standard that previously existed or that you want them to work to is tough, and there's some hesitancy for them to operate at that level, whether it's financial or whatnot. I think financial's got a lot to do with it, to be honest with you. But when I try to set the standard, I always look at, okay, is this something that, and this may not be the best way to do it, but something that I can do myself, something that I can do and that I can take to the bank, or that I could present to the customer, that I could do wherever and put my name on it and feel that this is something that is going to be representative of me in the business. And I try to emulate that throughout the company. Issue with it, is you do have some people that just can't perform at those standards, and some people that can, and there's a few that can even exceed it. The workforce being what it is nowadays, I don't think that you can afford to not have the ones there that can't perform to those high standards. I mean, some of them they're just not able to, or they're just prevented from doing it. But you still need some, what's the saying? You can't run it all by yourself, kind of thing,
Right.
So you got to take that in consideration as well, But just try to set the standard, and I look at it as something I would do myself. High level of integrity and honesty and leadership involved in it, and is it worth putting our name on? Is this something that we want to put our name on and see what they can do?
Yeah, I think it's through leadership. I think Paul and probably all of us agree that setting those high standards, and when it's not easy to do, you got to pull in those. You got to use that leadership capital, right? You don't use it all, I don't think, but you got to be able to use, like you said, relationships. You got to communicate what that is. You know, Carlos Mendez with Echelon Front, awesome podcast. If you haven't seen it or listened to it, he talks about communication. You know, making it clear, simple, and concise. Right? I mean, that's kind of the message. And when guys don't understand what the standard is, got to know the reasons why.
Yeah.
Like, let's explain the reasons why we're doing it. And more than likely, once you explain the why of what we're doing, whatever that standard might be, it's easier to get that buy-in. You know, and I think once you've done that as a leader, you've done your job.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
No, it's good stuff, man. Paul, you got any thoughts on that? Setting higher standards or anything?
I think for you guys, it's that tone. It's the alignment of that standard set to the workforce. If you set that standard, that Ron Hill, that Raul standard, then next it's for you to communicate that standard to the workforce and say, hey, this is a standard. So I think that's part of it is setting it, and the next part is communicating that standard and make sure everyone is aligned with it and knows that vision.
It's like in line with your goals.
Yeah.
Setting that standard has to be in line with your goals. I think that's what you're getting at. And I totally dig that. Like if you don't believe in it,
You can't buy in on it.
You ain't gonna buy in it.
It's sunk. Yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna sink.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and no other businesses other than like ours need a high performing team. You know, there's high risk involved in what we do, right? We mitigate a lot of risk, but there's still risk out there. Like the guys have to be cut in every day. They got to use the standards or procedures that are there to keep them safe every day and back home.
Yeah.
Like they came to work, right?
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
I think for that Hill crane standard has to be high too. When you see that crane merging on the freeway and you got 3 other chasers and like you're not hiding from anyone.
Yeah, all of us do. You know, I mean, let's face it, we get paid to do high hazard stuff, and we get paid to do it because we do it well. And if we don't do it well, then we're not going to be around long.
Sure.
You know, people are going to get hurt, and it's just going to be a mess.
No, it's
true.
Let's talk about that for a second. So adversity, dealing with things that may not go the way we want it to go, right? And which happens. I'll say, I wouldn't say daily, but it does happen. There's things that occur that we have to pull in some leadership capital, or we got to do some things. What are some of the things that you do to drive it? When you have something that may not go the right way for you, what do you lean on? What do you typically lean on to get through it?
You got to speak up. You got to be a voice.
Yeah.
You got to show leadership. You got to seize the moment, and you got to grab the team. And you got to grab them. You got to pull them all together. As bad as whatever you may be going through at the time, if it's a bad accident, if it's whatever, as bad as you want to sit back and sulk on it, you can't. You have to speak up, and you have to be that point that people look at and look at for leadership on how to get out of it.
Yeah.
How are we going to move on from this? How are we going to learn from it? How are we going to better ourselves? And how are we going to move on from it? And over my career, I've had the chance to experience that once or twice, and I think it's made me a better person. And I think it's made the people around me better, and I think it's reinstilled some faith in their leadership and their direction that the company is going. I think it's reinstilled faith in them that it's going in the direction that we want it to go in and they want it to go in, and that they buy into it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think true test of a leader is getting put in those situations and how they come out of it and how they act when they come out of it, and whether or not they're able to rally the people behind them and bring them with them on the way out of it.
Yeah, it's not always going to be perfect.
No.
I mean, and if it was, then you're not challenging yourself enough.
Yeah.
It's like setting goals. If you're hitting every goal out there, maybe your goals aren't high enough, or maybe you're not setting a high enough standard to get to, because you're not gonna achieve everything. No different than having an issue.
Well, that situation we were talking about before we came in here, I didn't want to do it. I don't want to, you know what I mean? It's there's not enough there, and you're telling me, no, come on, go do it. I mean,
you could do it.
You could do it. I mean, whatever the circumstances are, they are. But again, you were motivating me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it worked.
It didn't work. I could tell.
Oh, you're starting a podcast.
Well, it's easy to spend his own money. I just tell him what to do. It's not my money.
Nice.
No, what does Jocko say? You got topped out?
Yeah.
Good.
Good.
Didn't get the gear you wanted?
Good.
Oh, hey. It's a thing that Jocko says, and we fool around with it when things go bad.
Yeah.
Right. And just try saying the word good.
Yeah.
right? If things go bad, just try to say, okay, good. Didn't get the gear we wanted, good.
Yeah.
We can use the other gear that we had and practice on the old stuff. And we kind of toy with it a little bit, but
It's a good mindset.
it's a good mindset. Like you said, you got to pull the troops together.
Yeah.
Right. No matter what you're going through.
Yep.
Gather around, whatever that may be, whether it's a huddle, whether it's a phone call or whatever it might be. And you got to instill some faith and some trust and learn to get past it, because it's only going to make us better. When we get at the end of this, it's going to make us better.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. I'm ready for a little bit of a pause with producer Paul, or I should say co-host Paul now. This guy's
let's go, producer.
This guy is taking over the show.
Names.
He's changing it up. He's got some. I know he's got some questions. He's got some things here. This is really quick before you get to that. I'm all over the place. Sorry, this Jocko Go's got me wired up. It's got me
good stuff.
It's got me jacked.
Skin starting to crawl.
Yeah, starting to crawl. But man, this is an excellent conversation with you.
Yeah.
We've talked, and it's usually we got drinking some beer or something, but with our families. But this is a great conversation. There's a lot of stuff that I think hopefully our listeners can get out of it. If you're wanting to be a leader, if you're wanting to advance yourself, I mean, no better person to learn from than a guy who owns the company. So
Well, I'll be
appreciate
honest
it,
with
man.
you too, man. I look up to you in a lot of ways too. I see some of the things you've done in your career and where you've gotten to where you're at, and it's impressive. You should be nothing but proud of where you're at right now.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Ron.
And I want to say, Ron, we were looking forward to this conversation, and I kind of gave that nature versus nurture example where we talk about Raul's leadership style, not to discredit what him and his family has what he's learned through his family, his father and his mother, but he relies on these principles and his work experience, his leadership experience, whereas we kind of uncovered with you. A lot comes from your mentoring as your dad, and that those personality traits. To see those dynamics of two leadership styles ultimately have the same vision, I think it's kind of cool, and it gives a diverse look. Like there's no right way to lead.
Sure.
As long as you're leading in a positive manner and setting that culture, that positive culture, and that standard, I think it's all worked out, and this conversation is great. So thanks.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that.
Sorry.
Well, let's go. It's your show, buddy. Co-host. Let's hear it.
All right, here we go. I got a few questions. We're going to keep it light, and then we'll get into some a little more heavier. And then we got questions from the Gram. Raul. Here we go. This kind of relies off the extreme ownership principles, mindsets for victory. Raul. Innovate and adapt. One of your favorites.
Yeah.
This kind of got us right here in this podcast arena. Papa John's. They've come out with a new menu item. It's called Papa Bowls. Papa Bowls. I say that right. Bowls. All your favorite toppings without the crust. Are you in? So basically, it's just a bowl of toppings. Ron, what are you thinking? Did they try? Did they reach too hard on this?
Well, no, because when I eat pizza, I take the cheese off it, and I eat the bread, and then I eat the cheese afterwards. So that might be right up my alley, dude.
You just got some hate mail.
I just ruined your game right there, didn't I?
Dude, that is.
Hey, you better block the content on your social media, bro.
No one's this idiot.
This guy doesn't eat pizza like a human.
No.
Well, I mean, we're getting older, so I figured you took the pizza off for a reason, or the cheese off for a reason.
Actually, that's the way I've always done it. People look at me and go, "What in the hell are you doing?"
This guy.
Dude, I think they reached too far on this one. I got to disagree with Papa John's. I'm sorry. I mean, don't get me wrong. Papa John is probably, a lot smarter than me, but dude, it's a pizza. Like if we're going to go get a pizza, we're ordering a pizza. If I want to eat a bowl, I'm going to go to a different place to eat a bowl. Right?
It's different when you go to the open face Chipotle bowl, like the open burrito concept,
Right.
but this is like off the rocker.
This is off the rocker. They mess this up. I mean, stick to what you know. I love Papa John's as a go-to for my family. If it's time to order pizza, like that's not the best. That's probably number 2 on the list. But
What's number 1?
we talked about Blaze Pizza all day.
Oh, that's right.
All day, dude. Yeah, Blaze Pizza.
Yeah.
Little shout out to Blaze Pizza.
Sponsor.
We're looking for a sponsorship for the
Food-
studio,
food
Blaze
sponsor.
Pizza Studio. No, I mean at the end of the day, like if it's like In-N-Out. They stick to what they know, and it's really good. Don't mess with it, Papa John. Stay with the pizza, the way it comes.
So, hey, Ron, let me get this right. So when you get this hate mail, there's some justification. You take the cheese and the toppings off,
Hell yeah.
and you set it aside and you eat the
Eat the bread
Sauce?
first, and then you eat the cheese.
wow.
Yeah, man.
fuck?
No, dude.
Hey, let's do.
That's the way you do it.
We're gonna do an Instagram post on that. Let's do a little survey. Let's do a survey.
Is this just you? Is your brother too?
No, we had a guy in the office that did it the same way, but I think we're probably the only two. I mean, no shit. That's the way I've done it that way forever.
I love it.
Yeah, that was a great question.
That's
I did
awesome.
not see it going that way.
That's
Cool.
awesome.
Actually, I was going to refer to the In and Out too, because they've been changing anything for a while. Like, and
if you want to change it, you have to order it
They
off
don't
the
change
menu.
anything.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
nailed
these are the
it.
ingredients. We'll do anything you want with these ingredients.
Yeah.
It's not going to be on the menu. You have to ask for it. But yeah,
They haven't really changed it. And there's no like to innovate and adapt. They've just kind of leaned, or they've just kind of altered what they have. I don't know. It's pretty cool.
You know, they've done.
Any-
yeah.
Anyways, all right.
That's a good
Let's
question.
move along.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. I don't think we ever had pizza together.
No. If we have, I don't remember.
Now you know what to expect. Okay. Let me get the camera right. Here we go. A nostalgic collector's item for linemen or the industry are date nails and old glass insulators. Is there anything of value that you're going to collect in your industry, Ron?
So there is a scale that we were cleaning out one of the shops at the office, and I found this scale. I think it was made in the 50s. So a load indicator scale that you hang off a hook to pick a weight on. And it's in this old school box. I'll show you a picture of it. It's pretty bitchin'. And it's got this giant 12-inch dial on it. That's one thing that I have rat-holed away and kept for a long time.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything the field guys are kind of trying to hold on to?
Yeah, belt buckles, like a lot of the old company swag.
Oh, yeah.
My grandma was big on making Zippos. Zippos
really?
with Hill Crane on them. Yeah, my dad's got a shadow box.
Yeah.
With old Zippos and magnifying glasses and little rulers with scales on them that you could go and measure jobs with and stuff. He's got a bunch of that. Belt buckles are huge.
I'm telling you, dude, the Hill Crane swag is on point, bro.
Belt
Your
buckles
guys'
are
stuff is
huge.
always good. The shirts, the hats.
Zippos are bitching. I wish you could. I mean, it's not really cool anymore, but I mean, they were cool to have. I still have a couple.
If I'm wearing a Hill Crane sweatshirt at a safety meet, I can't keep it on my back.
Really?
Like, those things are hot commodities, dude. Everybody wants one.
It's cool is to see some of the old swag we had and how the phone number stayed the same.
Yeah.
But the area code has changed like 9 times. Yeah. It's really cool.
That is cool.
And so your main office is still Signal Hill?
Long Beach.
Long Beach,
Yeah.
Did you bring me any swag?
Swag off the back. You can't fit in that double XL. That thing.
It's hilarious.
I don't think I did.
Next question. That was awkward.
That was awkward. Okay, go.
All right, here we go. This is a legitimate question. Raul, time to get nervous.
Oh, gosh.
Who would you want as your sensei? Mr. Miyagi, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, Splinter, or Chuck Norris?
Chuck Norris.
Man,
Dude, you don't even have him on there. Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal?
Dude, come on. Steven Seagal was the
man.
man
Under
back in the
Siege
day.
Seagal?
Chuck Norris is chopping rocks in half and boulders in half, dude. No way, dude.
So out of your choices there, it's got to be Bruce Lee.
Yeah, there you go.
It's got to be. And a little shout out to Carlos Mendez. It's got to be Bruce Lee.
You're sticking with Chucky?
Sticking with Chuck.
Man, Chuck's
Yeah?
a legend. Okay, here we go.
Chuck Norris.
Did you watch a lot of his movies?
No, I just
Just throwing it out there.
throwing it out there.
He's kind of like this icon now where it's like that funny Chuck Norris thing. Mm-hmm. Here we go. Have you learned more from your successes or failures, Raul?
Oh man, that's a good question. I learned from both, man. I don't think I could say that's one way or the other. I'm gonna go Swiss on this one. I'm gonna stay in the middle. Yeah, I think our successes, because nothing's truly my success. I'm gonna have to go humble mode here for a second. Like, it's really the people that are working for us, and all the successes that I can say. I've had good mentors, right? Richard Reyes is one of them, which is
Talk about a mentor right there.
mentor for a lot of our industry.
Yep.
And I remember the day he handed me the keys of the building. It was at a Christmas party, and he handed me a baseball that he signed, right? And basically telling me that I'm next up, and I remember that to this day.
He gave you a baseball that he signed.
He gave me a
I
baseball.
never knew that. That's cool.
Yep.
That is cool.
Had a nice message on it.
That speaks Richard all over it.
Yep. And at that moment, I knew that I had to step up my game, because he did a lot for me as an individual. He did a lot for this company to get it going. And it was based, and I could truly say, like, a lot of his success, and back to the question, you know, a lot of the successes that I see is through relationships. And I like watching him in action. I mean, he did a really good job when we were going through problems, or even just dealing with the men.
Richard was big on relationships.
Yeah, huge.
Really
and
big.
I learned that from him probably later than I wanted to, but I did learn it, and it's helped me along the way. When it comes to failures, definitely I've learned a lot from our failures. Definitely learned from my failures and try to not to repeat them. And I know it feels terrible when you fail. I mean, you struggle with it. You lose sleep over it. I know you and I have talked about it. You know, losing sleep over issues starts affecting you, starts affecting your health, you know, your mental capacity, your psyche, right? But I think once you come out of it, man, it makes you such a better, stronger person that you could throw anything at me, you know, in certain aspects, and you're going to get through it. Kind of toughened you up a little bit.
Yep.
So I'm sorry, Paul. I know I kind of dodged around that specific question, but I couldn't really say one or the other.
No, you're doing good. Before I get some feedback or anything, Ron, you got anything to add to that? Success or failures? What are you learning from?
I think I tend to learn more from my failures or our failures than our successes. I tend to dissect it a lot when there is a failure, you know, on whatever level it is, and find out what happened to it and why it happened, and try not to be so reactionary to it next time, you know, try to prevent it, you know, whether it might be an accident or you lost a job or whatnot. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot to be gained from, you know, analyzing your successes and your wins or whatnot, but I think there's more to be gained from learning from your failures.
Absolutely.
You guys are bidding a lot of work, huh?
Yeah.
I got a quick question off the topic here, but when you're bidding work, how do you get through those ones you lose? You know, those ones you really want, right? Because we're bidding a lot more work too now, right? Different areas, different customers, different clients, and I have a team of people that we help, right? That bid work, and they work their butt off. I mean, from the start to the finish. How do you get through the ones you lose? Because I know that's hard. That's one of the things I'm struggling and building my team up, and
it's tough. It's tough, especially when it's something that everybody's really motivated to get and everybody wants. Right. You know, it's tough. I'd say there's really no real easy way to get through it other than, you know,
kind of suck it up and move on.
Suck it up and analyze why.
Yeah.
You know, try to find out why, to at least you can get some type of, you know, acceptance as to why it happened and why you lost it. You know,
do your customers give you feedback? The ones that you don't? Like, if you've been a job, like where you failed, whether it was in pricing, whether it been a safety plan, or whether it be,
some of them do.
Give you feedback.
Some of them do. Yeah. The majority of them do. You'll get some kind of idea, whether it was pricing or you know, some type of
lift plan or something.
Lift plan or staffing plan or execution plan or something like that.
Yeah. Resources or something.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. I had to throw that one out there.
No, that was good, and I can tell that came with like just asking a friend how you handle it. So that was pretty cool. All right, next question. Here we go. Thank you, Raul and Ron. Arsenal soccer team. That's the championship league over there across the pond. In their locker room, they have the words "focus on your basics." I thought that was a little interesting. You're talking about a professional level team, just talking about basics, and then the kind of operative word for me was yours. I think typically you see that term, focus on the basics. But then I kind of thought about it a little more, overanalyzed maybe. But on a soccer team, you have different layers of people, positions, duties, so that quote is saying your basics. Focus on your basics, and everything's going to kind of be put together. Ron Hill, what are some of the basics that you just hold to your standard for you? Something that you just go day to day with your basics. You thought you were just talking about cranes over here, huh?
Yeah. Okay, that one got deep real fast.
Just got real.
Yeah, it did.
Just got real.
Yeah, dude. Be yourself. Be yourself. You know, be true to yourself. Be the leader that you think you are. Be accountable, and be trustworthy and be honest. That's what I try to be, and I think that gets me to where I am, and that will continue to get me further.
Sure.
You know, I think that's why a lot of people want to build a relationship with me, is because they know, you know, that I am those things, or that they like to believe they are. You know, I think
What you see is what you get with Ron.
that's it.
Perfect.
Yep, I like that.
Thank you, Raul. What's some of your basics?
Man, basics are so critical too, man. My basics for me are probably, I don't know. I mean, being organized. That way I can put a lot more effort into our folks, into the people. You know, I'm not trying to run around, try to, you know, not mismanage my time, even though you're trying to do a podcast with me all the time. Communicate well, you know, build relationships, really interact as much as I can with as many people as I can. Continue to improve is another one that I've just probably most of my people that work for me directly will agree that I'm constantly trying to improve things. So yeah, those are probably the main things.
Right on. I love them. That question, I know it was tough, Ron, like you said, but it's meant, like I said, I always try to challenge Raul. He's always trying to challenge the workforce to be better, to get that personal growth in. So, I mean, these are two good brains I'm trying to pick right here. So thank you guys for being good sports.
Can we stay there for a second?
Yes,
sir.
sir.
When we talk about basics, the foundation, I just want to talk a little bit about Ron's foundation. You know, when you build that foundation up, you know, I think it's it's there, right? You have this foundation and you build on top of that. And I think people see that great foundation with your company. You know, just get another little attaboy.
Thank you.
There's a lot of history, there's a legacy behind it, but there's a good foundation. And I think that's the basics you're talking about, building relationships, communication, everything we just talked about.
Yeah.
You know, being true to yourself is a huge one. You know, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
That's a huge foundation for you in the basics. So, go for it.
Thank you, Raul. Here we go. A couple more from me. Tim Grover, in his book Winning, I got it right here, and Raul, explains that you need to get your first win. And once you get your first win, you can start to build up that confidence. Ron Hill, what was your first win professionally?
Professionally.
Man.
I think
I love it.
my first real significant win was getting utility contract renewed.
There you go.
That was my first big win.
Nice.
Yeah. Took that on by myself, and yeah.
Nice.
Well, not by myself. I mean, I had a lot of people support me in it, but that's one thing that I directed and took care of and paid off.
Right on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Nice.
Raul, you got a first win for us?
Well, obviously, I mean, the easy answer is, you know, topping out and getting that Journeyman Lineman ticket.
Take it, baby.
And then building off of that, right? I mean, your first foreman job was a win. General foreman job, my first superintendent job, you know, was a great one. But I have to say, the biggest win when I look back is being a leader here at Sturgeon Electric, California. I think I enjoy what I do. I'm passionate about leadership. I'm passionate about our folks. I'm passionate about being successful. Passionate about our business colleagues. You know, building relationships with them and continue to see those grow. But I really like seeing the advancement of our individual personnel and employees within the company be successful. That's truly it. That's my win, and I wouldn't change anything about that. Yep.
Right on. Thank you. Nick Bear.
Yeah.
He has a podcast, Bear Performance Podcast. He asked his guest, what's the number one thing, or he asked a guest, what's the number one thing that is holding most people back from reaching their full potential? Raul, what's that one thing that's that you think that's holding people back?
I think it's fear to fail. I really do. I mean, we're talking about
100%.
Yeah, it's the fear to, you know, of what other people may think if you fail. And at the end of the day, that will get you absolutely nowhere. Like you have to grab and growl and go get after it. If there's something you want to do, be diligent in it, practice at it, and you'll get better. And the next thing you know, you're successful. I think the fear to fail is the.
But have a good, healthy respect for it too. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to fail, but respect it and know that. Know that it's there and what can happen if you do.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And you're not alone. Like ask questions. Find a mentor. We've had this question before on the podcast. You know,
Sure.
And find a mentor. If somebody wants to be an owner of a company one day, get a hold of Ron Hill or somebody of that magnitude. You want to be a foreman, you want to be a GF, find a mentor to help you through those stages.
I mean, we're branching out and opening a yard in Phoenix right now.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. And that's one of my biggest fears right now is that it won't be successful. My dad did it years ago when he opened that Rialto facility, and it's been there 27 years. And when it first opened, there was rumblings in the industry that it wouldn't last 6 months. 27 years later, it's still there. And that's what I got going on now. And that's one of my biggest fears, but it's not stopping me. It's not stopping me.
I could relate to that about 6 years ago.
Yeah. Right?
Coming in here and doing this thing. It's the same. It's the
Look
same
at it now.
thing.
Look at it now.
Yeah. Can't complain. Now we got it. Now it's one thing building it. It's another thing to sustain it.
That's right.
And that's where the fear comes for me is we can get it going. We can win our first job, like Tim Grover said, get that first one, then you build confidence and you continue to go. But to sustain it over years and years is really difficult, especially now. It's so competitive.
Yeah.
It's really competitive. So.
Right on, Ron. You're gonna piggyback to Raul's fear of failure statement on that a little bit. Is that what it was?
Kind of what I would. Yeah.
Okay,
kind of
cool.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Perfect. That's all I got on that segment. Let me get some questions. Ron through the Instagram question machine for Fritz. There's a bunch of questions. Obviously, I don't have time to go through all of them, but I pick and chose what I thought would be the best.
Instagram machine.
Yeah, the Instagram machine. Yeah,
I love it.
Slowed us down. Ron's pretty popular. All right, here we go. And once again, thank you guys for submitting these questions. I'm gonna get through them as much as I can. We're gonna send you some swag, so I appreciate you guys. Appreciate. Yeah. Oh smokes! Appreciate you guys engaging with us. All right, here we go. Cheyenne_Skeezer. What do you think the best quality in an operator is, Ron Hill?
Shane. I know Shane.
Oh, Shane.
Yeah, Shane's a good dude. I've known him a long time.
What up, Shane?
Shane is one of the up and coming operators in our industry, and he's moved up fast and gets every bit of respect he deserves because he's definitely making a name for himself, and it's a good name. My biggest quality in an operator would be safety and integrity. Safety and integrity.
Interchanging those two.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't necessarily need to be the fastest, but he does for what we do. He does need to be the safest because he's not. It's not just his safety that needs to be concerned with. It's everybody around him, and there's so much that can go bad so fast if they're not.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you. Working Class 013, our friend Ben Holmes.
What up, Ben?
We'll address this to both Raul and Ron. If you could change one thing about your industry for the better, what would it be, Raul?
Man, guys, take care of the equipment. No.
Shit's expensive.
That's what you were going to say. I told you the answer.
You were going to say it. I beat you to it.
No, I think it's okay to lead, guys. Like I would like everybody to understand that just because you don't carry the title, and if we could change something, that no matter what position you hold in the organization, on a crew, you are a leader. And if we're going to truly benefit or better our industry, I should say, that we all have to understand the concepts that, everyone leads and do what's expected of you at that moment and communicate what's the best for the industry. And it's usually, passing it forward and being a leader. So yeah, if I could change anything, I don't know if that's changing, but it's changing the mindset that I think you have to understand that we're all leaders.
Absolutely.
And strengthen it. Strengthen yourself as a leader, Yep.
Right on. Ron?
Kind of parallel with what he says. Speak up. Speak up. If more often than not, we find ourselves in situations where, guys are in an environment where things aren't going right or things may be unsafe, and guys are afraid to speak up because they're afraid of their brothers, they're afraid of being made an example of, or they're afraid of people looking down on them or clowning on them or whatever. Speak up. There's bigger things involved than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's look at the whole thing as a whole. And if you see something, speak up.
Say something.
I think that's one of the hardest things that to try to get instilled in these guys is to speak up when you see something that's not right.
Why do you think guys don't speak up? Stay here for a second. Why do you think it's hard for even a seasoned guy or me? I know the young guys are obviously, that's the obvious easy answer because they're afraid of what the lineman, but there's guys that are seasoned that just may not speak up because, he knows what he's doing, right? Or may say something. What do you think that What do you think that is?
I think it's ridicule, and I think it's fear of whoever's doing that, whether it's an unsafe act or whatever, may think he can get away with it forever because that's the way he's been doing it forever, or however you want to look at it. And this guy is going to come out now and say that he's putting everybody at risk or he's doing something wrong. I think a lot of it is being called out and being ridiculed or being put on the spot by their brothers or their co-workers.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I think it's a leadership quality there that gets in the way. It's kind of that little bit of ego sets in.
Yeah.
And I think that's along the lines of what I mentioned about leadership. But I think if we all just check our ego a little bit and understand that, it's okay to speak up. It's okay to have a real conversation with the man to say, hey, man, I'm just making sure you're okay there, right? Or making sure you see what I see, and not worried about what the other guy may say. And you have to listen to that too.
Yeah.
You can't not listen. So
that'll kill it.
That'll kill it for sure.
It'll kill it on the spot.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
Man, you guys are chopping it up. I love this stuff.
What about you? This is a great one for you as a hand. What would you like to see change in our industry, if you could, for the better? And don't say,
speak up.
Did you ever have a problem speaking up? Did you speak up if you saw something?
Not within your community, within your crew, it's a little easier, but
Sure.
In front of the whole yard, you almost really have to feel like that statement can hold its weight, or if it's important enough. But I think we do our best locally in our yard to really encourage everyone to have the platform to say something, and have a voice, even as an apprentice or a groundman or a young lineman. Like you have a voice, and your opinion matters definitely. I want to see more mentors. A lot of mistakes I made were because I didn't have a mentor. I wasn't even seeking one. But a good mentor can help you find your voice, give you some good habits to lean back on if you're ever in a time, even if they're personal, but professional. Having a good mentor can really help you out. So I challenge the younger generation to really seek a mentor, and the older generation or the seasoned generation to really get someone on your wing and show them the way. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, great one. Mentors, step it up.
These questions are for you guys.
How's it feel?
It's shitty.
It's insightful, bro. You're insightful. Stop it.
80s_skateboarder. What keeps you from saying F it and selling it all and going away?
Who said this question?
80s skateboarder.
Send him an extra little swag there. That's got some.
Well, today, I don't know. Today, I haven't really thought of it today. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. But, the generational link to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
your dad would your neck anyways.
And I do enjoy it. I do love what I do. I love what I do. I love our business. I love our industry. I love the competition. I love what is the crane business. I love the hands. I love the employees. I love the new cranes that are coming out. The technology's evolving to see where it is now from where it was in the early 80s and even further back than that, And not just my heritage with it, but also the men. There's 3 and 4 and 5 generation operators and oilers that are working here in other companies, and I think that's pretty cool. I think that's something unique to us and as well as to you guys too. I think that's unique to what we both do. Yeah. You don't find that a lot. It's not just a job. It's not just a job to a lot of people. It's not to me.
I like it.
Raul, you want to add anything? You can't sell, but
I ain't selling nothing. No,
packing it.
No,
in
but I knew that was coming, that answer. But I want to piggyback off of it because I truly believe you're going to enjoy what you do. Like, you really have to have passion. You really have to love what you do. And I can see that when you talk about it. You talk about the technology. You talk about your employees. You talk about your relationship with your dad, and seeing where it came from to where it's going now. I think you truly, truly have to love what you do. And I could appreciate your comment, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you. Ron, is there any of those advancements, those technology advancements that the crane industry is coming out with that's something maybe the general population doesn't know? Is there anything that's kind of cool that I know you sound like you're really excited to highlight some of those, but is there anything you can talk about?
There's electric cranes. They're starting to come out. Bear's got some crawlers that are electric, autonomous stuff. running cranes, Bluetooth, running cranes on remote. I mean, climbing up in a building and running the crane from a remote. That's something that's coming. It's already here. Or automation, capacity and designs and size of cranes. There's 600,000 and 700,000 ton mobile cranes now.
Wow.
It's just really neat to see how far it's going and the way the manufacturers are designing cranes to get better capacity and longer boom lengths and attachments that they're putting in and designing for cranes. It's pretty cool. And then the whole back office support with software and lift planning software. I mean, stuff that they have nowadays is
what's your guys' plans look like? I'm sure they're 3D.
There's AutoCAD, and Libera has that. Libera's got some stuff that is really insane now. It's all web based. It's really cool.
Nice.
They got simulators too.
That's starting to come out. Yeah, they're starting to do some training. Some companies are starting to train their employees, their new hires, in basic simulators, just to see if how qualified they really are. If they say they can run a crane, that's starting to come out. I don't think it's quite there for everybody yet, but there are a few companies that are utilizing that technology now.
Sure, right on. Thanks for sharing that. That's kind of a freebie. Next question. Here we go from Brian Rocco. Asks, where would you want to be and what would you like to do if you weren't in the crane business? Ron Hill. Probably like a bodybuilder. Think Raul, football player?
He's a football player.
Detective.
Oh,
detective.
Well, you're a manager. Dude. I mean, you're detective.
I'd be a detective, dude.
What precinct? Don't say LBC.
No, I don't know. I just I think I got a knack of sniffing when someone's lying to me and feeding me a line of shit. So I think I would be really good at it.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's funny.
Here we go. Last question from the Graham roll. From KV per DW. You guys got to help me out on these freaking Instagram names. What is the most valuable crane cert to carry when applying for jobs in the trade? I want to add to that. Is there a strategy when a crane operator or anyone should be using when qualifying? Or I'll let you finish that up.
I mean, there's a couple of different ones. There's OECP, which is the license that our union provides the guys, provided they go through the school and go through training and take the test. And there's NCCO, and I think there's CCO or one of the other ones. As far as there's really no specific one that's better than the other. I mean, I'm partial to the OECP because I'm a big fan of our union and all the unions. I think the unions are great for the guys and ownership and the companies. As far as classifications on a cert, if I were to advise someone as to what classification to get, I'd say get any and all that you can, because that's going to make you more valuable to whoever you work for, whether you have boom truck, lattice, tower, crawler, whatever. Get all that you can.
Nice. Very good.
Cool. Ron, that's all I got. Raul's going to wrap this up, but I want to personally thank you for coming on. I know we played calendar tag a little bit, which is to be expected when we're trying to get two powerhouses like yourselves lined up. But thank you for your insight.
That was nice kiss.
Is it?
I like it, dude. I love you, bro.
Little low key kiss ass right there.
Little humble brag.
I don't know. I was gonna try to label it a humble brag, but it was more like a low key kiss ass.
All right, it was a kiss ass move. I'll take it. But thanks, man. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you coming on and sharing that insight. I know these questions aren't tough. So thanks for being good support, man. I appreciate you, brother.
No, thank you very much.
Roll, man.
Right on, man. I guess we're dumping recommends.
Shoot.
We could dump it.
Let's go for it. Raul recommends. Ron Hill, what do you recommend?
Because I know he wanted to recommend a whiskey or something.
Macallan.
See, there you go. What year?
12, 18, whatever.
Any Macallan.
Whatever kind of money you got.
Are we going neat? Are we going ice? Are we going chilled?
Two-finger pour?
Two-finger pour?
Ice? Well, it depends what the week has been. You put one of them big balls in. If it gets such a tough week, it goes over the top of the ice.
Nice.
Has to tell you that one.
Are you doing a cigar with that?
No.
Good.
No.
Well, shout out to Natalia.
What about you?
Hopefully she lasted this long on this podcast. I doubt it.
I hear him all day.
I ain't listening to that. No, she's a great woman you got there, man.
Yeah, she is.
I need to recommend this book just really quick to all our listeners because I've been kind of quoting out of it today. It's The Power of One More by Ed Milet. 19 chapters of just an easy read. I've been finding enjoyment in this book. Everything from reshaping your identity. I think I mentioned time management, setting goals, creating a culture. We talked about creating a culture within our businesses. It's a great way to do that. And defining leadership. And I do want to read just one little thing out of here really quick. The power of one more is the culmination of a philosophy. And Ed Milet's been working on this for about 30 years, it says. At its core, the power of one more is about your willingness to do one more rep, make one more phone call, get up 1 hour earlier, build one more relationship. We've talked about that. Or do one more thing for whatever your situation calls for. You can find your best life by doing one more than the world expects from you. So, pretty good book.
That's good.
Yeah, I've been finding a lot of enjoyment in it. Guys, check it out. Came out this year. All right, we're closing it up, huh? What else you got?
So, hey, man, unless you got a rabbit under there.
Oh, man. All right, let's jump right into it. Let's see here. Man, thanks for coming out, dude.
Thank you for having me. Good time.
You've had, I think this has been a great conversation. I know hopefully all of our listeners, whatever you're trying to do in life, could get some value out of it. I think ultimately, we're trying to win.
Yep.
In life, right?
Yep.
You're a husband trying to win. You're a father trying to win with those kids. I know I am with my daughter all the time.
Thank you for your friendship over the years.
Absolutely, man.
And your support.
I appreciate it.
We've leaned on each other through some rough times we've both been through, and we've always been there for each other and helped motivate each other. And thank you for that.
I appreciate that, man.
Way more than just a customer to me.
Good luck on your contracts, and good luck out there in Arizona.
Yeah, man.
And wish you all the best.
Keep killing it. I know you are.
I want to try, man.
You are. You are.
I do want to finish up with something from our book here. I'm not trying to beat you guys up with the book, but there's just so much value in it, and I just want to finish here. It's about winning. We're all trying to win, trying to be successful in life, and winning is a numbers game. If you want to be an overachiever, you must create better numbers for whatever is important to you. Much of your success will come down to your commitment to executing basic tasks again and again. Paul talked about doing that, right? You must learn to do some simple things well. You must be obsessed with perfecting processes repetitively until you create big enough numbers to give you the wins you're looking for. Overachievers don't think in terms of quality or quantity. They think in terms of both quality and quantity. And I can tell you, our friendship, like you said, is nothing but a quality friendship, dude. Your business is a quality business that runs deep for how many years?
75 this year.
75 years.
Jeez.
It's super impressive.
Yep.
Is there anything else you want to mention?
No.
Where can our listeners find you at? For all those applications that are going to be coming through for Arizona.
Hey, call the office, email me, ron@hillcrane.com, ron.hill@hillcrane.com, and
yeah.
And
you're on Instagram too, yeah?
Yeah.
What's your Instagram?
Hill Crane, the Hill Crane one?
At Hill Crane. Sorry.
Go ahead. What is it?
At Hill Crane.
At Hill Crane.
You put it in the show notes?
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
We'll put it in the
I'll put in the show notes. Sorry, yeah. So I had a question about Arizona. They people want to know when that yard's going to open up.
We're going to have cranes out there after Labor Day.
There you go.
There you go, everybody. Hot off the press.
Yeah.
Heard it here first on the Power Element podcast.
Hot off the press into 130-degree heat.
Ooh, man. You guys got to be approaching that a little bit different, huh?
Yeah, it's warm out there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Man.
Made some good connections already, though.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yes.
I know there's an office close by there in Phoenix.
I've already had, my boys already had lunch with him. I've met him twice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad we were able to hook that up for you.
Yeah.
Anyways, Paul, you good?
I'm good, man. That was great. Chalk this one up as a win. Oh, good.
Our yard is right next to him.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Neighbors.
You can throw a rock in it.
That's good stuff right there.
Man. Yeah. Sorry, Paul.
No, you're good.
Anything else, Paul? You good?
No, thank you guys. Thanks, Ron. Thanks. Thank you, everyone, for engaging with the questions. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks.
Absolutely. I'm going to get us out of here. Great episode, guys. I do want to take a second to thank our promotional partners, Jelco, What's Happening Cat, Working Athlete, our premier partner, Klein Tools. Thank you guys for what you're doing for our workforce. Coat Eyewear, Cody, what's happening? Looking forward to seeing you at the rodeo, my man. And Buckingham. Special thanks to Lyman Mama Dell. Hope's all well with you. And my man, High Voltage Commando. What's up, Josh? And a special thanks to our entire Sturgeon Electric California workforce for a job well done constantly. Appreciate all you guys. Be safe, be fit for duty, and always be your brother's keeper. Thank you.